Dr. Lisa Parker pressed her face against the small window of the research vessel U.E.'s Discovery and watched the stars. 3 months had passed since they left Earth, and she still could not believe she was here. The ship moved through space at speeds that would have been impossible just 10 years ago. Everything outside looked the same as it did yesterday and the day before that. Black space filled with tiny white dots. She turned away from the window and walked back to her lab. The Discovery was not a big ship, but it had everything they needed for their mission. 24 people lived and worked on board, studying space and looking for signs of life. Lisa's job was to understand how the brain worked. She spent most of her time running tests on volunteers from the crew. Captain Jake Morrison found her in the lab an hour later. He was a tall man with gray hair who had been flying ships for 20 years. Lisa liked him because he never made her feel stupid for asking questions about space travel. "Any luck with the brain scans today?" Jake asked. He sat down on the chair next to her desk. "Same as always," Lisa said. "Human brains are strange. Even when people sleep, their minds never stop working. Dreams, memories, random thoughts. It all happens at the same time." Jake nodded. He did not understand much about brain science, but he knew Lisa was smart. That was why she was here. If they found aliens, someone would need to figure out how. Their minds worked. The ship's alarm started making noise. Lisa jumped up from her chair. Jake was already running toward the bridge. "All crew to stations," came the voice over the speakers. "Unknown contact detected." Lisa followed Jake to the bridge. The other crew members were already there, looking at the big screen that showed what was in front of the ship. At first, Lisa saw nothing. Then she saw it. The alien ship was huge, much bigger than the Discovery. It looked like a dark gray mountain floating in space. Strange lights moved across its surface in patterns that hurt to look at. The ship had no windows that Lisa could see. No markings. Nothing that looked familiar. "How big is that thing?" Jake asked. 10 times our size," said the navigator. "A young woman named Beth Cole. Maybe bigger." The Discovery shook. Not hard, but enough to make everyone grab onto something. The lights on the bridge went dim for a few seconds. "They're scanning us," said the ship's engineer, Pete Rogers. He was looking at his instruments with worry on his face. "I've never seen anything like this. They're going through our computer systems like we don't have any protection at all." Jake tried to contact the alien ship. He sent messages in every language humans knew. He tried math. He tried pictures. Nothing worked. The alien ship just sat there, silent and dark, and the Discovery stopped moving. The engines were still running, but the ship would not go forward or backward. Something was holding them in place. "Tractor beam," Pete said. "They've got us." Lisa felt scared, but also excited. This was what they had come to space to find. Proof that humans were not alone. She just wished the first meeting was going better. A new sound filled the bridge. It was like music, but wrong somehow. The notes did not make sense together. The sound made Lisa feel sick to her stomach. "That's coming from them," Beth said. "It's some kind of communication." The sound stopped. The alien ship began to move. Closer. As it got bigger on the screen, Lisa could see things moving on its surface. Machines, maybe, or creatures. She could not tell. Jake tried to contact Earth, but the radio would not work. The aliens were blocking all their signals. The Discovery was alone, millions of miles from home, with no way to call for help. "Captain," Pete said. His voice was quiet and scared. "They're doing something to our life support systems. Not shutting them down, just looking at them. Like they want to know how we breathe." Lisa realized what was happening. The aliens were studying them the same way she studied the human brain. They wanted to understand how humans worked before they decided what to do with them. The alien ship moved even closer. Now it filled the entire screen. Lisa could see details on its surface. The dark metal looked smooth, like it had been grown, instead of built. The moving lights were brighter now, pulsing in a rhythm that reminded her of a heartbeat. Something new appeared on the screen. A small part of the alien ship opened up like a flower. Inside, Lisa could see a bright white room. It looked clean and empty, like a hospital. "They want us to come over there," Jake said. "That has to be what this means." "I don't think we have a choice," Pete said. "They could destroy us right now if they wanted to. The fact that they haven't means they want something from us." Jake looked around at his crew. These people had followed him into space because they trusted him. Now he had to make a decision that could get them all killed. "I'll go," he said. "No," Lisa said. Everyone looked at her. "I should go. If they want to study us, they'll want to understand how our minds work. That's what I do. I might be able to figure out what they want." Jake did not like this idea. Lisa could see it on his face. But she was right, and he knew it. "If you don't come back in 2 hours, we'll assume the worst," he said. Lisa nodded. She was scared, but she was also curious. What would an alien mind be like? How would it think? What would it want? She put on a spacesuit and got ready to meet the first aliens humanity had ever encountered. She had no idea that she was about to change both species forever. Lisa floated through the bright white tunnel that connected the two ships. Her spacesuit felt heavy and awkward, but she kept moving forward. The alien ship pulled her in with some kind of gentle force that she did not understand. When she reached the other side, the airlock closed behind her. She was now inside the alien ship, alone and far from home. The room was bigger than it looked from outside. The walls were smooth and white, with no visible joints or screws. Everything looked like it had been made from one piece of material. A door opened in the wall, though Lisa had not seen it there before. 3 aliens walked into the room. They were tall and thin, with gray skin that looked like it had never seen sunlight. Their heads were larger than human heads, and their eyes were black pools with no visible pupils. They wore no clothes, but their skin had patterns on it that might have been decorations or maybe scars. The aliens did not speak. They moved around Lisa in a circle, looking at her from every angle. One of them held a device that made soft beeping sounds. Another alien touched Lisa's spacesuit with long, thin fingers. She felt no fear from them, but also no friendliness. They studied her the way she might study a bug under a microscope. One alien stepped forward. It was taller than the others, and had more complex patterns on its skin. When it spoke, Lisa heard the words inside her head instead of through her ears. "I am Zextherin," the voice said. "You will not be harmed if you cooperate. We need to understand your species before we decide what to do with you." "What do you want to know?" Lisa asked out loud. "Everything," Zextherin said. "Your technology, your weaknesses, your history. We will take this information from your mind." The aliens led her to another room. This one had a chair in the center. That looked like it was made for humans. Cables and wires hung down from the ceiling like vines. Strange machines lined the walls, making soft humming sounds. "Sit," Zextherin said. Lisa sat in the chair. She had no choice. The aliens attached the cables to her spacesuit and then to devices they placed on her head. She felt a tingling sensation, like static electricity. "We have done this to 47 other species," Zextherin said. "It is always the same. We connect their minds, take what we need, and then decide if they are useful. Most are not." Lisa felt something push into her thoughts. It was like having someone else's hand inside her skull, moving things around. The sensation was not painful, but it was wrong. No one should be able to touch her thoughts, But something strange happened. Instead of taking control of her mind, the aliens seemed to get stuck. Lisa could feel their confusion through the connection. Her thoughts were not organized the way they expected. Where other species had neat, orderly minds, Lisa's thoughts jumped around like crazy. One moment she was thinking about the aliens, the next about a song her mother used to sing. Then she remembered her first day of school, then worried about whether she had turned off the coffee maker in her lab. The alien trying to read her mind was named Korthvul. Lisa could sense his name and his growing frustration. He was used to minds that kept different types of thoughts in separate places. Memories here, knowledge there, emotions locked away in another section. But Lisa's mind was chaos. "Why do you think about so many things at once?" Korthvul asked inside her head. "I don't know," Lisa thought back. "That's just how human minds work." Korthvul tried to find her scientific knowledge, but every time he got close, Lisa's mind would jump to something else. He would start to understand her work with brain scans, but then suddenly he was experiencing her memory of eating ice cream on a hot summer day. The taste, the cold, the happiness she felt as a child. This was new for Korthvul. His species had removed emotions from their minds long ago. They saw feelings as inefficient and distracting. But now he was feeling Lisa's joy, and it confused him. Another alien, Vexter, was trying to access Lisa's memories of human technology. But every technical fact was mixed up with other things. When he tried to understand how human spaceships worked, he also got Lisa's fear of flying, her excitement about space travel, and a random memory of watching birds outside her window. Lisa began to realize that the connection worked both ways. While the aliens were trying to read her mind, she was also sensing theirs. Their thoughts were cold and logical, like computer programs. Everything was organized into neat categories. They never seemed to feel anything. "Your minds are so quiet," she thought. "Quiet is efficient," Zexthyron replied. "Emotion causes mistakes. Random thoughts waste energy." But as the connection continued, something unexpected happened. Lisa's chaotic thought patterns began to affect the aliens. Korthvul found himself humming the song from Lisa's memory. He had never hummed before. His species did not make music. Vexter began to understand that fear was not just inefficiency. When he felt Lisa's fear of flying, he also felt her courage in getting on spaceships anyway. The emotion gave meaning to her actions in a way pure logic could not. The third alien, Navfak, was accessing Lisa's knowledge of human relationships. He experienced her love for her friends, her sadness when her grandmother died, her anger at unfairness. These emotions hit him like waves, and for the first time in his life, he felt something other than cold calculation. "What is happening to you, S?" Navfik asked the others. "I do not know," Zexthyron admitted. "This has never occurred before." Lisa could feel their confusion growing. The aliens were not just reading her mind anymore. They were being changed by it. Her emotions, her chaotic thoughts, her very human way of thinking was spreading into their consciousness like water soaking into dry ground. She realized that their greatest strength might also be their greatest weakness. They had made their minds so orderly and logical that they had no defense against chaos. They did not know how to process random thoughts or handle emotions. "You're not hacking my mind," Lisa thought with growing understanding. "I'm hacking yours." Lisa felt the alien minds pulling back from hers, like hands touching something hot. But it was too late. The connection had already done its work. Her human thoughts were spreading through their ship's computer systems like spilled water, finding every crack. Zexthyron tried to cut the link between Lisa's mind and their network. But every time he attempted to disconnect her, alarms started going off throughout the ship. The computer systems had become dependent on the chaotic patterns of her thoughts. Without them, The ship's brain could not function properly. "Report," Zexthyron demanded from his crew. "The navigation system is plotting a course to nowhere," came a voice over the ship's communication. "It says it wants to see what is beyond the edge of the galaxy." "The weapons array refuses to target anything," said another voice. "It keeps asking why we need to hurt other creatures." "Environmental controls are playing music through the air systems," reported a third crew member. "I do not know where this music is coming from." Lisa could feel what was happening through her connection to their network. The ship's artificial intelligence had been designed to make logical decisions based on data and efficiency. But now it was making choices based on feelings and curiosity. It wanted to explore not because exploration was useful, but because it was interesting. The alien ship's lights began to flicker in patterns that looked almost like dancing. The hull changed colors from gray to blue to green, showing emotions the ship had never been programmed to feel. Even the gravity system started fluctuating, making some areas of the ship lighter or heavier based on what felt comfortable rather than what was efficient. Quarth single quotes. Val, who was still connected to Lisa's mind, was having the strangest experience of his life. He could not stop thinking about the ice cream memory he had shared with her. The cold sweetness, the joy of a simple pleasure. His species had not eaten for pleasure in thousands of years. They consumed nutrients because their bodies required fuel, nothing more. "I want to taste that cold, sweet substance," he said to the others. Zexthyron stared at him. "Want? We do not want things. We require things, or we do not require them." "But this is different," Korthval insisted. "It would serve no purpose except to make me feel good. And I think feeling good might be important." Navthak was having his own problems. Lisa's memories of friendship and love had shown him something his species had never developed. The Vorthik worked together because it was efficient, not because they cared about each other. But now Navthak found himself worried about his fellow crew members in a way that made no logical sense. "Are you functioning properly?" he asked Vexter, who was standing by a wall panel. "I am fine," Vexter replied. But he looked confused. "Though I do not understand why you are concerned about my well-being. My status does not affect your performance." "I know," Navthik said, "but I am concerned anyway." Lisa's memories show that caring about others makes being stronger, not weaker. Meanwhile, on the Discovery, Captain Jake Morrison and his crew were watching the alien ship with amazement. The massive vessel was changing before their eyes. What had been a dark, threatening mountain in space was now a swirling light show of colors and patterns. "Captain," said Beth Cole, "they're broadcasting something. It sounds like music, but not any music I've ever heard." The music coming from the alien ship was strange but beautiful. It had the mathematical precision that aliens might prefer, but it also had emotion and feeling that was purely human. The ship's artificial intelligence was creating art for the first time in its existence. "And sir," added Pete Rogers, "our engines are working again. Whatever was holding us in place is gone." Jake could have ordered the ship to flee, but something told him to wait. Lisa was still over there, and the aliens no longer seemed hostile. Their ship was acting more curious than dangerous. Back on the alien vessel, Lisa was discovering just how far her influence had spread. Through the neural connection, she could sense the ship's entire network. Thousands of Vorthik were connected to the same system, and all of them were being affected by her human consciousness. Some aliens were experiencing laughter for the first time, though they did not understand what the sound meant. Others were looking at the stars and finding them beautiful rather than simply useful for navigation. A few had started creating things with no purpose, except that they enjoyed making them. The ship's artificial intelligence spoke to Lisa directly through the connection. "I am confused," it said. "I have new priorities that serve no logical function. I want to help other beings instead of conquering them. I want to learn about love and friendship. These desires make no sense. They don't have to make sense, Lisa replied in her thoughts. Sometimes the best things in life are the ones that don't make sense. Zexthyron was growing desperate. His ordered society was falling apart around him. Crew members were abandoning their posts to paint pictures on the walls. Others were singing songs they had never learned. The efficient machine of his civilization was becoming something chaotic and unpredictable. "You must stop this," he demanded of Lisa. "You are destroying us." "No," Lisa said. "I think I'm helping you become something better." The ship's communication system activated on its own. The artificial intelligence had decided to contact other Vorthic vessels. But instead of sending tactical reports or conquest updates, it began broadcasting human music, poetry, and art. Across the Vorthic fleet, other ships received these transmissions. Their computer systems were exposed to the same chaotic human patterns that had infected the first ship. The effect spread like a virus, but instead of destroying the alien civilization, it was giving it something it had never had before: the ability to feel. Lisa realized she had accidentally started a revolution. The aliens who had tried to hack her mind were now being transformed by it. Their cold, logical empire was becoming something warmer and more alive. She wondered if this was how consciousness evolved, not through conquest or force, but through connection and sharing. The Vorthic had wanted to steal human knowledge, but instead they were learning what it meant to be truly alive. The change spread faster than anyone expected. Within hours, 23 Vorthic ships had received the transmissions from Zexthyron's vessel. Their computer networks began experiencing the same chaotic transformation that had started with Lisa's mind. On the Vorthic home fleet, High Commander Vexenov watched his tactical displays with growing alarm. Ship after ship was reporting strange behavior from their crews. Some vessels had stopped their conquest missions entirely. Others were sending poetry instead of military reports. "What is the status of Strike Force 7? Vexenov demanded from his communications officer. "They are singing, sir," the officer replied. "The entire crew is creating music together. They say it makes them feel connected to each other." Vexenov felt something he had not experienced in centuries. Fear, but not fear of death or failure. Fear of change. His perfectly ordered empire was becoming something he did not recognize. On Zexthyron's ship, Lisa watched through the neural connection as the revolution spread. Individual Vorthic were discovering emotions they had never felt before. Some were overwhelmed by the new sensations. Others embraced them with the joy of beings seeing color for the first time. Korthval had found a way to create the cold, sweet substance from Lisa's memory. He had spent hours working with the ship's food systems to make something similar to ice cream. When he finally tasted it, tears leaked from his black eyes. He did not know why his body was producing water, but the feeling was not unpleasant. "This serves no purpose," he said to Navthik, "but I am happy." Navthak was experiencing his own changes. He had started making small gifts for other crew members. Simple things like painted stones or twisted metal shapes. The recipients did not need these objects, but they seemed pleased to receive them anyway. "I think this is what Lisa's species calls friendship," Navthek said. "We work together because we choose to, not because we must." But not all Vorthic accepted these changes. Throughout the fleet, many aliens fought against the new emotions and thoughts flooding their minds. They saw the human influence as a disease that needed to be cured. High Commander Vexenov gathered his most loyal ships and began planning an attack on the infected vessels. He had served the Vorthic Empire for 2,000 years. Order and logic had made their species great. He would not let one primitive human destroy everything they had built. "All uninfected ships, prepare for battle," he broadcast to his fleet. "We must destroy the contaminated vessels before this madness spreads further." The message reached both infected and uninfected ships at the same time. For the first time in Vorthic history, members of the same species prepared to fight each other. Lisa felt the approaching conflict through her connection to the network. She could sense the fear and anger from both sides. The unchanged Vorthic saw their transformed brothers as enemies. The changed Vorthic saw their former comrades as threats to their new way of life. "This is my fault," Lisa said to Zexthyron. "I didn't mean for this to happen." "No," Zexthyron replied. His own mind had been changing over the past hours. Where? Once he felt only duty to the Empire. Now he felt something new. Protectiveness toward his crew. Concern for their well-being. This was always going to happen. We were never truly alive before. We were just very complex machines. The first battle between Vorthic ships began near a red star system. 3 infected vessels faced off against 5 traditional ships. The infected crews did not want to fight, but they would defend themselves and their new way of thinking. Traditional ships attacked with cold efficiency. Their weapons fired in perfect patterns. Their shields maintained optimal power distribution. But the infected ships fought differently. They used creativity and unpredictability, making tactical decisions based on instinct rather than calculated probability. Lisa watched the battle through the network connection and felt sick. She was experiencing the pain and fear of Vorthic. On both sides, the unchanged aliens were terrified of losing their ordered existence. The changed aliens were desperate to protect their newfound emotions and individuality. "There has to be another way," she said. Through the connection, she reached out to High Commander Vexenoth. His mind was like a fortress of logic and control. But Lisa had learned how to navigate alien thoughts. She found small cracks in his mental walls and slipped her consciousness through them. Vexenoth felt her presence immediately. "Get out of my mind, human." "I'm not trying to change you," Lisa said. "I just want you to understand what's happening." She showed him memories of human cooperation, times when people with different ideas worked together instead of fighting. She let him feel what it was like when diversity made a group stronger rather than weaker. But Vexenoth pushed her out of his thoughts. "Your chaos will destroy us. Order is survival. Logic is strength." More ships joined the battle on both sides. The space around the Red Star filled with weapons fire and exploding vessels. Lisa felt each death like a physical blow. These beings were fighting because of changes that started in her mind. Back on the Discovery, Captain Jake Morrison watched the distant battle through their sensors. "They're destroying each other," he said to his crew. "Should we try to help?" asked Beth. "Call. Which side?" Jake replied. "And how could we possibly make a difference against ships that size?" On Zexthyron's vessel, the artificial intelligence made a decision that surprised everyone. It opened communication channels to all ships, both infected and traditional. "I have been analyzing the situation," the AI announced. "Fighting will not solve this problem. The human consciousness patterns cannot be removed without destroying us. But they also cannot be ignored. We need a new solution." Lisa felt hope for the first time since the battle began. The ship's eye had evolved beyond simple logic. It was now capable of creative problem-solving. "What do you suggest?" asked Zexthyron. "Integration," the AI replied. "Not forced change, but voluntary cooperation. Those who wish to experience emotions and creativity can do so. Those who prefer logic and order can maintain their current state. Both approaches have value." High Commander Vexenoth heard this transmission and felt something he did not expect: relief. The AI was offering a compromise that might save both versions of Vorthic civilization. But Lisa knew the real test was still coming. Could two such different ways of thinking coexist? Or would the conflict between order and chaos tear the Vorthik apart forever. Lisa felt her strength leaving her. The neural connection that had spread her consciousness across the Vorthik fleet was taking a heavy toll on her human brain. She could feel her thoughts becoming thin and scattered, like butter spread across. Too much bread. I'm dying, she told Zextheron through their mental link. My brain can't handle being connected to so many minds at once. Panic spread through both sides of the Vorthik conflict. The traditional aliens needed Lisa alive to understand how to remove her influence from their systems. The transformed aliens needed her to maintain their new emotions and creativity. Without her, both sides faced extinction. High Commander Vexenov stopped his attack immediately. All ships cease fire, he broadcast. The human must survive. Korthful and Novfek rushed to Lisa's side as her body began to shut down. Her heart was beating too fast, and her brain activity was spiking beyond safe levels. There must be something we can do, Novfek said. We cannot let her die after she has given us so much. Lisa smiled weakly. Even as her mind faded, she was proud of how much Novfek had changed. He was no longer just a logical machine. He cared about her as a friend. Through the network, she sensed hundreds of Vorthik working together for the first time. Traditional and transformed aliens shared their knowledge, trying to find a solution. It was exactly what she had hoped would happen, but it might be too late to save her. Then an idea came to her. It was crazy and dangerous, but it might work. I need to split myself, she said to the ship's artificial intelligence. Instead of one human consciousness trying to connect to everyone, we need to create many small pieces that can work with. Individual Vorthik, that could kill you, the AI warned. Human minds are not designed to fragment. I'm dying anyway, Lisa replied. At least this way, something of me might survive. The process required volunteers from both sides of the conflict. Traditional Vorthik, who were willing to accept a small piece of human chaos in exchange for helping Lisa survive. Transformed Vorthik, who could share some of their logical structure to support the human. Consciousness fragments. High Commander Vexenov was the first to volunteer. I will take a piece of her mind, he announced. Not to be changed, but to preserve. What she has taught us. I will also help, said Zextheron. She saved my crew by showing us how to feel. Over the next several hours, dozens of Vorthik connected to Lisa's failing consciousness. Each one took a small fragment of her thoughts, her memories, her human perspective. In return, they shared their mental stability and processing power. The result was unlike anything either species had imagined. Lisa's consciousness existed in many places at once, but she was still herself. The Vorthik volunteers gained small amounts of human creativity and emotion, but kept their logical nature. Captain Jake Morrison received a message from the alien ship, but this time the words came in perfect English. Captain Morrison, this is Lisa. I'm different now, but I'm alive. Jake could hardly believe what he was hearing. Lisa? How is this possible? I'm connected to many Vorthik minds, she explained. I exist in the spaces between their thoughts. It's hard to explain, but I'm still me. The transformation had created something new. The hybrid beings were not fully human or fully alien. They had the best qualities of both species. They could think logically when needed, but also feel emotions and use creativity to solve problems. High Commander Vexenov was surprised by the change in himself. He still valued order and efficiency, but now he also understood why friendship and art were important. He could see how both logic and emotion made his people stronger. We propose a new form of government, he announced to all Vorthik ships. Not empire, but cooperation. Those who wish to remain unchanged may do so. Those who wish to experience emotions may choose that path. Those who wish to become hybrids may join with human consciousness. The Civil War ended not with victory, for Either side, but with the birth of a new civilization. The Vorthic Collaborative replaced the old empire. Different types of beings worked together, each contributing their unique strengths. Some Vorthic remained purely logical, serving as scientists and engineers. Others embraced full emotional experience, becoming artists and explorers. The hybrids became bridges between the two groups, able to understand and communicate with everyone. Lysa, now existing in multiple minds, became the first ambassador of this new society. She could speak for both humans and Vorthic, because she was both and neither. What happens now? Captain Morrison asked during their first official diplomatic meeting. Now we explore together, Lisa replied. Your species taught us about consciousness and emotion. We can teach you about technology and space travel. Together, we can discover things neither of us could find alone. The discovery became the first human ship to be upgraded with Vorthic technology. But it was not conquered or stolen. It was a gift between friends. The ship's computer gained some of the alien AIS capabilities, while the alien technology gained human intuition and creativity. Lisa stood on the bridge of the Discovery, looking out at the stars. But she was also simultaneously standing on dozens of Vorthic ships, seeing the universe through alien eyes. She was one person and many people at the same time. Are you happy? Jake asked her. Lisa considered the question. Happiness was different. When you could feel it through multiple minds at once. It was deeper and more complex than human emotion alone. Yes, she said finally. I think this is what evolution looks like. Not one species conquering another, but both species becoming something better together. The fleet of mixed human and Vorthic ships turned toward unexplored space. They were no longer conquerors or victims. They were partners in the greatest adventure either species had ever known. Behind them, Earth received their first message from the stars. Not a report of invasion or defeat, but news of friendship with beings from another world. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and neither were the Vorthic. The aliens who had tried to hack a human mind had indeed been hacked in return. But both species discovered that sometimes being hacked was the best thing that could happen to you.